Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Planning and Development Board. The first item on the agenda is the evacuation procedure, for those who don't know it. If you hear the alarm, it's likely to be a real event because we are not anticipating any tests. It certainly won't be overdue heating. If you do hear the alarm, please leave the building by the nearest safest exit, which is likely to be that door there, and go to assembly point G on the car park, which is just outside the window, until our officer on the naughty seat says it's safe to go home. Please don't just go home because we have a register of who's here and the fire brigade will be looking for you. Apologies for absence or members away on official business. We have an apology from Councillor Riley, who is substitutable by Councillor Clues. Apologies from Councillor Jarvis, who is substituted for by Councillor Simmons. Apologies for Councillor Gosling, who, surprise, surprise, Councillor O. Phillips is making another unusual appearance. And Councillor Hobley, who is substituted for by Councillor Jackson. Are you happy, members, that we note those apologies?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you much. And welcome back to Councillor Clues, Councillor Simmons, Councillor Phillips and Councillor Jackson. You're all very welcome. You've again chosen a fantastic meeting to be a substitute because there's not a big agenda. So hopefully you make it to the chip shop on time.
Yeah.
Agenda item 3 is disclosure of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Does anyone have anything they wish to disclose? No. Agenda item number 4 is the minutes of the meeting of the board held on the 4th of November, which have already been through full council. Does anyone have any comments, or shall I sign them as an accurate record?
So
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Agenda item number 5 is Mr. Brown's budgetary control report. Mr. Brown, do you wish to explain your performance?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, it's the budget, as you can see, prepared by the Director of Corporate Services, not myself. It just brings you up to date in respect of the financial position of the last 2 quarters. So it's the half yearly report in terms of income and expenditure and where we are on the board's performance, Mr. Chairman. I'll try and answer any questions, but I may have to refer them, if you don't mind, to the finance officer if they're difficult.
Does anyone have any particularly difficult questions for Mr. Brown? Just one then from me, Mr. Brown. When I first read this, I thought we had a budget for civic awards, and it's got a 0 in it. Do we not have a civic awards budget this year?
There is, Mr. Chairman. I'll check that and make sure that's included if necessary in the minutes. It's 25,000, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
Chairman of Resources didn't nick that when we asked for a supplementary budget for appeals, did she?
I'm not aware of that, Mr. Chairman.
Members, if there's no other questions, are we happy to note the report and send it on to Resources?
second, yes.
All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Now we move on to the planning applications, the first of which is application number 514 for 102 Long Street, Atherstone. Mr. Brown, anything to add to your report?
I'll just run through the slides, Mr. Chairman. There are larger versions that you have in your papers in front of you. The application site is the bottom right, as you can see there. The location plan, the building fronts onto Long Street, the moment between the post office and the Liberal Club, and you can see it extends all the way back to the North Street. The town council's offices are there on the top right-hand corner of that. In terms of elevations, the front elevation to Long Street is the bottom left. The very rear elevation, as you would look at it from North Street, is the bottom right. And then the internal elevation looking west is on the top. These are the buildings that are to be demolished at the back, which are referred to in the report. And then in terms of the layout, the buildings at the back would be demolished, and the pink ones are the new range of new houses which are being proposed, as you can see in the report. This is the other elevation, looking the other way, the same elevations, but with the changes to the fenestration, which are referred to in the report at the top there, in relation to the internal yard. There are no alterations to the Long Street frontage and bottom left, as you can see. And that's the layout for the houses. What I have done, Mr. Chairman, is provided you with some images that will be handed around on your desks this evening. These were supplied by the applicant following submission at my request, so that you can visualise a new house at the back. 6 new houses, and with the rear elevation of the building, I think it's shown on the first one, if not the second one. The application, Mr. Chairman, is just a note. The application has been received, and we'll bring it back to you for determination once we get the consultation responses.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Members, any comments or questions? It's for noting. I think it would be appropriate for us, given the history of the building, to have a site visit. If you're all happy with the site visit. Councillor Lidley?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, excellent idea.
Councillor Humphries?
Chair, it's probably not outsiders because it doesn't belong to the people. But in the top right-hand corner of the yard on North Street is the old council offices, is that? Which is just sort of locked up, shut down, and it will fall down if it carries on, left forever. Any chance that could be dealt with in a way that it could become part of the development? We'd have to speak to the parish council, of it, or the town council.
It's not happening.
Not yours.
Not sold.
Oh, sorry. I'm not up to date. It's been sold. Well, can we talk to the new owners and see if we can do something about it? Otherwise, it will just be left in the corner. Thank you.
We'll take that up separately, but it's not part of the application. Councillor Hayfield?
We still have a design champion.
Well, I was just thinking that I'm pretty certain the design champion would have a few comments on the.
Yeah, I imagine they might. They look boring.
It's not the word I'd have used, but similar vein. And we do have 2 design champions. I don't think he probably thinks so much of it either.
I think they're wonderful, Chair.
Councillor Durden.
Can I just say that this is for noting, and that really is a starting point for developing a design that we would be more happy with. Not that I would say that I don't want this to go forward. I think it's a starting point for us, and we should take it as such. Have a site visit so that everybody knows what we're talking about. Back to the architect with some suggestions.
And given that it's only for noting, and we haven't got the officer's report, I am doing my best to avoid expressing any opinion.
So am I.
Members, any other comments? No. Can I have a proposal for noting and a site visit? Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bates. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. We now move to application 259 for Village Farm, Birmingham Road, Ansley. We have 2 speakers on this. Tasha Abbott, who is here. Would you like to take the speaker's chair while Mr. Brown introduces his report? And Daniel Swift, who I think is online. So it's just you. Mr. Brown will introduce his report, and then we'll come back to it. Mr. Brown.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to run through the slides. Again, they're repeated in the papers in front of you. The application site there is outlined in red. This is the drainage pond, which is referred to in the report, and the farmhouse, which is referred to in the report is there. Proposed layout, as you can see, a simple cul-de-sac with the 9 units around it. The former farmhouse is down here, which you see, as you can see, is separate from the application, its application site. In terms of elevations, then these are they. You can see that on the bottom there, we've referred to some false windows and a bay window facing the main road. So this is the situation here on either side of the cul-de-sac, which would go in here. And then these are the houses at the rear and on one of the elevations on the cul-de-sac. The report refers to the allocation H12 and also to the fact that part of the site is outside of H12 in the green belt. H12, you can see top left there, the shaded colours, and the blue and the black and green dots are the development boundary and green belt boundary, which you can see coincide around the site. And then the additional land which was referred to is the area of the rear gardens behind the rear elevation, as you can see down here, the 4 plots down here, including the retention pond, which is there. I've got nothing further to add to the report, Mr. Chairman. The history of the site is outlined there with the recent appeal decision, and I've also outlined in there the reasons why we think this particular proposal is different to the appeal decision, and therefore it can be recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So, Ms. Abbott, welcome to the Council House, welcome to the meeting. In a second, my colleague will have to shout at you the reasons for the rules for public engagement. She's going to have to shout because she's sitting behind and hasn't got a microphone.
Good evening. You'll have 3 minutes from when you start speaking. I'll remind you when you have 1 minute outstanding. So I'll start the clock when you start speaking.
I know that some councillors have concerns regarding slightly.
Oh, sorry, could I just encourage you to press the until the green light's on and then we can all hear you.
I'm here on behalf of Subtone Developments. I know that some councillors have concern regarding slight infringement into the green belt that has been highlighted since the last application and appeal. From the outset, we have had meetings with councillors regarding the site. This is an allocated site for housing, so we felt it important to take on board councillors' comments, which we have, for implementing changes on the house design, putting 2 footpaths either side of the access for disability use, and bin collection to name the few. The first application appeal with liaised with planners, and we have moved the site forward, losing plots but creating space to be able to bring the rear plots 5, 6, 7, and 8 build from back into the allocated site, leaving only garden areas now given a slight encroachment, therefore giving a much improved application. The planners now see this as very limited, if negligible, impact on the countryside. The site as it is today is a site that has been operated by Glover Transport for 30 years plus. In that time, the green space that we are talking about has already been brought into the yard space with a covering of gravel and hard sander to store lorry bodies. As you can see from this picture, proposed garden ends at the end of the tree line and goes just behind the first back wheel of the truck. Thus, the encroachment has already occurred. We believe returning this to the garden will give a greener space to its current state. Attenuation fund is required by Warwickshire Local Authority for the site to meet their requirements. It's into the biodiversity for 2 reasons. Firstly, to add ecological and wildlife benefits, what is a pretty barren space that's been used for dumping of fires by the previous owners for 30 years. This will regenerate the green area, and secondly, that it will be under a 30-year habitat management and monitoring plan. This will give councillors security that the greenbelt area will have full protection, ensuring no further encroachment occurs when the plots are built. From these changes, the planners now see the encroachment, in their words, as having no conflict with the open countryside, and the degree of incursion into the greenbelt here is a small and found to cause very limited harm to openness of the greenbelt. The planners felt the harm that minor coupled with it being an allocated site.
You have 1 minute outstanding.
They did ask councillors to approve this application on delegated powers. Finally, I would like to just draw your attention to the section of the appeal, the inspectorate report, page 96, appendix G, point 28. If you would like to look halfway down that paragraph, it does state the dwellings to the rear of the site would extend beyond the extent of the land allocated for houses. Nonetheless, given the widespread encroachment into the open countryside, there is no clear evidence to demonstrate that this would give rise to any significant landscape harm in terms of the relationship between the proposed built form and adjoining open site over and above that of the allocated site. This obviously refers to the previous application.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions while speaking?
No, I won't.
You still?
I just think, I've seen what, the developer's done on the other side, and I think it's a really good, like, space, and, it was done how he said he was going to do it. So I do think that, as long as everything is adhered to and, it's not going to be, extended any further, then I think it should go through.
So this question's for the speaker, so I think
No,
what the question is are you going to develop in accordance with the plans that are submitted?
In the past, he already has, but he's not here to speak for himself, but yes, he already has in the past.
Councillor Ridley?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to hear what you were going to finish about the inspector and the appeal.
So that
Your
was,
point about the appeal, I think, is quite important. So
yes, it was just to state that, obviously it doesn't go into the green, belt. The planning officer advised that the degree of incursion into the green belt here is so small and found to cause very limited harm, and that the benefit the proposal brings overrides the limited harm to green belt.
so effectively, what you're saying is that previously, the ground that is now is going to be the gardens was in fact part of the lorry park.
Yes, sorry this wasn't submitted before, this was a photo taken just to show that. it was
Sorry,
already
can't let you
made.
do that.
And as a result, it's just going to be gardens.
Yes, just gardens, and if you can see where the red line is just where the houses end, and then that's just garden, just there to the left, before the continuation from.
And what guarantee would there be that people don't put buildings in the garden?
So, buildings and garden, I can't answer that, sorry, sorry.
Mr. Brown can answer.
Any other questions, members? In which case, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Ridley?
But obviously, it is gardens, isn't it? And it is allocated, and we are incursions into the green belt, which obviously is something that we do want to resist. However, if it is purely gardens and it is an improvement on the state that was there previously, it's obviously down to individual councillors about how they feel about green belts becoming green space. So it removes its protection, but it is still a green space, and it's a quality green space than it was previously. What guarantee have we got as a council that people in the houses don't build annexes, garages, summer houses in that green space? Perhaps Mr. Brown can answer.
So, Mr. Brown, I think this will still be in the green belt, won't it? It will simply be developed land in the green belt.
Precisely, Mr. Chairman, it will remain in the green belt because the green belt boundary isn't changed as a result of this. However, condition 17 restricts permitted development rights in those back gardens. Includes Class E is the one that you're referring to in terms of heritage buildings. All that means is that a planning application will be necessary if anyone wants to put a sun house or a greenhouse in their back garden. It will come to the council for determination rather than being permitted development.
So in the past, Mr. Brown, when we've done it, I think it's been a more blanket removal of permitted development rights. I know you do, but I don't know the general development order where. Are there areas of development which are proposed to remain?
No, Mr. Chairman, if you look at condition 17, it talks about Class A, Class AA, B, C, D and E, so therefore it does include rear extensions to those properties. So planning applications will be necessary for rear extensions.
For everything?
For everything, basically,
Okay,
yes.
so I was just trying by your restriction.
No, Councillor Ridley talked about some houses and that type of thing, rather than extensions, which is Class E. The remainder are in Class A, B, C and D.
Any other comments, members? In which case, can I see a proposal? Councillor Humphries,
I propose that we go with the recommendation.
thank you. Thank you very much. So, members, it's been proposed and seconded for approval. Let's see all those in favour. And any against? Abstentions? Thank you, that's carried. You're more than welcome to stay or not stay. We now have agenda item number 7, review of local land charges and the effect of the 6 months of revised charging. Mr. Brown.
Nothing really to add, Mr. Chairman. The board agreed about 6 months ago to increase our use of the land charges. That's had an impact, as you can see from the report, but it still doesn't quite equate to full cost recovery. So therefore, we're proposing that that does now happen in the next financial year, plus an allowance for inflation.
So given our discussion on agenda item number 5, Mr. Brown, are you confident that this will hit the mark?
Only in respect of local land charges, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions, members? No? Anybody like to make a recommendation? And seconded by, thank you all. So it's been proposed and seconded. Can I see those in favour? And that looks unanimous. Agenda item number 8, the proposed variation to section 106 group for Bloor Homes. Mr. Brown.
Again, Mr. Chairman, I think the report is straightforward. Bloor Homes, this is not a Bloor Homes making this a particular issue, as you can see from the report. As is normal nowadays, there's been no response from our registered providers to express an interest in providing affordable housing on these sites. That's the reason why we agreed to go with a different company called Rent Plus, but they have now pulled out. So therefore, in order to meet the affordable housing delivery on the site, Bloor Homes and our housing officers have been discussing the possibility of gifted units, particularly with the change in the legislation on right to buy receipts, which was announced by the government. So you can see that what's being offered here is that we would purchase 22 units at a discounted rate, as you can see, 30%. The financial officers and housing officers are comfortable with that. And from a planning point of view, there's not even a variation of the planning commission. It's a straightforward land ownership issue, not a planning issue. We would recommend that this then is the way forward on this particular site, Mr. Chairman.
Members?
Move the recommendation, Chair.
Thank you. Seconded by? I'd say this seems to get to the end result that we were all hoping for. So, all those in favour? Thank you. Unanimous. Agenda item number 9 is 3 appeal updates. Anything to add, Mr. Brown?
No, Mr. Chairman, unless anybody's got any questions, the most important one there is 141, the one in Coleshill, which is a significant decision.
Members, any comments, questions? No, in which case, if you're happy, we'll note that and move on. I'll move to agenda item number 10.
Second it.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. We can move down now? No? Members, I'll move agenda item 11.